This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our new sponsor, Greenworks Consults, a company run by a longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. Jason and his team over at Greenworks Consults are good at helping entrepreneurs tune up and dial in their business operations through better project management, workflow mapping and design, and process standardization. They're experts in Lean and Six Sigma and can work with you to make things run more smoothly and profitably. Learn more about what Greenworks Consults is up to over at greenworksconsults.com with works spelled WORX. That's greenworksconsults.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 839 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We kick off today with a bit of a bummer pivot in a storyline we've been watching in Massachusetts, as yesterday the Cannabis Control Commission decided to maintain part of the vaporizer ban implemented by Governor Charlie Baker back in September. I reported yesterday that it appeared in the state that the ban would fall as the commission met last Thursday without taking action, but news broke yesterday after we published that the ban would stand, or at least part of it. Left in place is Governor Baker's block on the sale of marijuana vaporizer oil, but not on flower that can be vaporized. The commission also called for state testing labs to start looking for the presence of vitamin E acetate, which was called out last week by the CDC as the likely cause of the vape health scare. Harrison Jordan over at Leafly has a really important story that you would ignore at your own professional peril, with a pickup of an announcement out of Canada by licensed provider Alethea Health that it has managed to bring in a crop of outdoor marijuana for 8 cents a gram. That's how much it costs the company to both grow and harvest. 8 cents a gram. That would put the production cost for an eighth of marijuana at just over 28 cents. At that cost, a company could do well selling $10 ounces. And the crazy thing about Alethea's 8 cents a gram figure is that it was done in Canada, which has a much more limited growing season than countries closer to the equator. As Harrison points out, Colombia-based marijuana company Farmacilio says it's growing outdoor cannabis for around a nickel a gram. This storyline is a good reminder that the future of legal marijuana is probably going to be built around a center of very, very cheap outdoor commodity cannabis. Plan accordingly. Our final top story today keeps us up in Canada, where licensed provider Cronos Group just released its third quarterly results, which saw it pull in $12.7 million in revenue, up from last year's Q3 total of $3.8 million, on top of a loss for the quarter of $54 million. But the main driver in pushing this story to the top today is the $1.4 billion that Cronos Group has in cash and cash equivalents, thanks to the huge investment last year by tobacco giant Alethea Group. That's a big war chest and something you should probably have on your general industry radar. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it in headlines, let's quickly thank our new sponsor, Greenworks Consults, which is run by a longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. The legal cannabis industry is about as dynamic as you can get, and the days where you could just open up your doors and start doing well selling legal marijuana are just about gone. With increased competition comes the increased need to tune up and dial in your business operations. That's where pros like Jason and his team at Greenworks Consults comes in. They know how to implement programs like Lean and Six Sigma and can generally help you identify places where you could be doing things more efficiently. Remember, every dollar in waste that you trim from your operations is a dollar that stays in your bank account. Zip over to greenworksconsults.com to learn more about how Jason and his team can help you do business better. That's greenworksconsults.com with works spelled WORX. greenworksconsults.com. Big thanks to Jason and everyone at Greenworks Consults for the support that helps us keep our news engines humming. All right, time for the blitz. Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moment dove into the 500 or so public comments submitted to the U.S. Department of Agriculture so far as it works to develop rules around how industrial hemp can be grown, processed, and sold. The USDA issued interim rules last month and is accepting public comments on them through December 30th. You can swing over to Marijuana Moment to read some of the ones Kyle nicely highlighted and to find a link to submit your own. Missouri is working to roll out a new medical marijuana program and has, according to St. Louis Public Radio, approved more than 17,000 registered patients. Writer Jacqueline Driscoll puts that number and some others out of the Missouri program up against Illinois, which had just 3,000 registered patients after being up for the same amount of time. Missouri should be giving out dispensary licenses around the turn of the year, and sales are expected by late spring. From the numbers so far, business should be good from the start, or at the very least, the demand will be there. Marijuana Business Daily's chart of the week keeps our focus on Missouri by looking at how things have gone so far for the number of applications and applicants for marijuana business licenses. The state is rolling out a limited license program and so far has way more applications in each of the license categories it's designated as it does licenses to be given out. For instance, there are just 60 application licenses that will be issued, and already 582 applications from 413 applicants have been submitted. Marijuana dispensaries in Colorado are now free to accept a new digital form of identification that the state is testing out to allow people to use a special app to prove that they are who they say they are at state agencies like the DMV and participating businesses like liquor stores and bars. The program is entirely optional for businesses and reportedly already has dozens of dispensaries participating. Georgia made some progress yesterday in its efforts to roll out a limited medical marijuana program as a 7-member commission was appointed to oversee a system built around low THC, high CBD oil. Just 7 months after a bill was signed into law by Governor Brian Hemp. There's still a lot of work to be done before Georgia patients will be able to legally buy medical oil, but we're at least one step closer now. Hillary Brickin over at the Canalog blog has a great roundup of 6 different major impediments to California's legal marijuana market, which has been fairly marked by low-grade chaos and disruption since Proposition 64 took effect back in 2018. Hillary pulls out licensing troubles, the bane of local control, the illicit markets, a lack of transparency by regulators, taxes, and access to banking as the main blocks to a smoother industry. Wherever you do business, this is a good one to read today. And finally for today, we have a story in need of a quick disclosure as it concerns Field Trip Ventures, a client of our production partner KCSA Strategic Communications, who we produce the Green Rush podcast with. Field Trip Ventures is a business focusing on the very early stage world of legal therapeutic psychedelics and is working on a project to build a research facility in Jamaica to study psilocybin, the part of psychedelic mushrooms that makes you trip. This overall storyline is fascinating, and this look at Field Trip Ventures' work is worth the full read. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Greenworks Consults, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.